Welcome back to another action-packed episode of Pig's Ear in Review, one of the few shows where we're talking about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, lately a little bit of what we've been reading, maybe one day what we've been tasting or smelling if we get, that far in the future too. Who knows? I'll do some food reviews here soon. I'm Myshtuff, joined by Riku Rose. How you doing today?
Good man, you?
Good, good. Can't complain. So today we got three things we're going to be talking about. Make sure I pronounce this first one correctly. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, I believe. All right,
Good.
all right, pass the first test. A show, Tokyo Vice. Got some mixed opinions on that one. And then South Park Streaming Wars, the latest special from the South Park team. Also some interesting opinions on that one. So yeah, we're just going to get right into it today, so we have enough time to talk about all this stuff. So I'll throw it over to you to start with 13 Sentinels.
Yeah, so this came out in, I think, 2019 on the PlayStation 4, and they've just
Oh,
re-released it on the
mm-hmm.
Switch.
Okay.
So I thought now would be an apt time to go through this. I got it
Mm-hmm.
a while back. I've never actually played it.
Sure.
So I know you're not a big JRPG fan, and that's kind of what turned you off, like Persona, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Now, what if I told you this game is Persona, but instead of a JRPG, it's an RTS?
Now I'm sold. Maybe.
N- Now, I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I'd seen like a few bits here and there.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you start playing it, it's made by Vanillaware, who made Dragon Crown, which I never played,
Yeah.
but
Me
I've
either.
seen since pictures of it. This is
Okay.
possibly one of the most beautiful looking games I've ever played.
Oh. Okay.
It's it looks like anime drawn, like in watercolor,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks gorgeous.
Cool.
I sometimes like if I'm playing like a sort of like text adventure or like one of those visual novels. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
do the thing where you like stream it to your phone and play it in bed because like it's not anything that needs like fast responses or
Yeah.
anything like that. I did it once. I was like, no, this takes away the quality of how good it looks. I need to play it on my big OLED TV.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, it is. It's so. So you play as 13 characters.
All right. I thought Octopath was bad with 8. Now we got
Yeah,
13. Okay.
13 characters, and it's all told out of order. The story.
Okay.
So you pick at times what character you want to play as, right? So you'll be like, right, I want
Mm-hmm.
to carry on the story as this person,
Mm-hmm.
or this person, and depending on who you pick, the order of the story comes in. I can't remember a story recently being told as well as this one.
Cool.
Now, is it the best story? No. Have I
Mm-hmm.
finished it? I'm only 15 hours in, which I think is about the halfway point. But
Okay.
how well it reveals the mysteries,
Mm-hmm.
considering it does it over 13 characters, is amazing.
And roughly the type of setting and story, is it like fantasy or like medieval-ish
It's
type of
like
thing or
so these these kids fight kaiju in like big
Oh.
Gundams, and that's
All
where
right,
the
this is not
RTS.
what I was Yeah,
Yeah,
this is not what I was expecting at all.
this is like that's where the RTS element comes in.
Mhm.
So they get transported into the Gundam type things called the Sentinels naked because this is
Clearly,
this is
because
an
it's Japan.
anime. Yeah. Um, and then
Naturally.
they fight the robots. So you can decide, right, either I want to carry on the story or I want to do the RTS part where I fight, and story gets revealed in that way. And there's
Mhm.
certain parts where it's like, hey, if you want to carry on so and so story, you've got to clear a few levels of the RTS.
Oh, okay.
Or if you want to carry on this person's story, you have to carry on another part of someone else's story before you can
Mhm.
progress it. And it does it so well because, as I said,
Mm.
the way the mysteries get unraveled. At first,
Mhm.
you're like, "What is going on?" Because it's just all over the place. The story,
Yeah.
you know, they're in the future, they're in the past. The main
Okay.
setting of this game is 80s Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it will just randomly show you like World War II Japan, and
Alright.
like 2,180.
Yeah,
And like
that's okay.
you're all over the place, right? But then what it is, they have like their encyclopedia type thing in the menu
Mhm.
where you can use points that you got from the RTS battles to unlock mysteries, and it explains it to you.
Okay.
So you're like, right, what's going on here? And you can unlock like, oh, this person. It goes, oh, this person's doing this because of this, and you go,
Mhm.
oh, okay. But then also all the scenes they lay out in chronological order
Mhm.
for you as well, so you can go through and go, oh, that took place before this, so that's why they did it and that.
Nice,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that
and it
seems really neat.
and it also leaves like all the bits that are going to come forward. So you're like, how did they get from here to here? And then you're like,
Mhm.
right, I can see something's going to be revealed here.
But is it
This-
so is the reveal of information always gonna be the same no matter who plays it, or it's up to, like, you to decide how you wanna, like,
You
select
can.
different
It's up to
things?
you for the most part, but there's going to be certain parts you can't do before other parts.
Sure, sure.
So me and you could play characters in different orders, but for the most part, we're not going to get certain information revealed before other things. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, because they don't want you to reveal certain parts of the story before you've seen it from another perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just so good how well they do it, because it is you reveal one mystery and another one comes along, and you're like,
Mhm,
oh, and you just keep going, going, going. And I kind of feel like I've got a good handle on where it's going, but up until
mhm.
this point, everything has changed from
Sure.
what I was thinking at the beginning. So I'm like, oh, there's going to be more stuff coming along. I mean, the RTS is really easy and it's kind of just there. I feel
That's what I
like
was
it's
gonna ask, like, is it a well-developed RTS, or is it more just a service needing some gameplay?
yeah, because this game, I've googled it and it's like meant to be like 30, 35 hours, and I'm like 15 hours in. And to be honest with you, I've done 4 RTS battles because
Okay.
I've been so focused on the story that I've kind of
Mhm.
ignored that part.
Yeah.
I've just been doing the character stuff because I've been enjoying it so much.
Interesting. Yeah,
hmm
this is completely not what I was expecting for this game. I thought this was gonna be just another kinda typical JRPG type of thing, but yeah, this is sounding a lot different. And I don't know, I feel like I've heard of this game, but not
hmm
a whole lot of, like, advertisement or talk about it, and maybe I'm just ignoring it, I
Well,
guess, but yeah.
it's a Sega game, and Atlas also like published it as well.
Mhm,
Vanillaware, I don't think are like huge in terms of the public consciousness,
mhm.
but they're like well respected by those that do like it. I never played Dragon Crown, but I think it was pretty well liked by people who did play it.
Sure, and I guess for this particular property, 13 Sentinels, this isn't like some other existing property, right? I
No,
mean, I know
no,
you said
yeah.
an original release came out a couple years ago, but other than that, this is the only, like,
As
game,
far as I'm
basically.
aware, yeah, I've not done
Yeah.
a lot of research. Like, oh, is there an anime? Is there a? But as far as I'm aware, this is it. But I think you would like it because of your like love of Japan and stuff. Because
Sure.
you have like one mainly set in 80s Japan, right?
Yeah.
You have a character who accidentally gets sent forward in time
Mhm.
from World War II Japan.
Mhm.
Uh, so he's like, I've got to get back, and I can use these things to help us win the war.
Yeah.
You know, you got people from the future who are like trying to blend in with 80s Japan, like they're trying not to mention the internet and hashtags and stuff like that.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. It's
S
really fun. It's got the anime tropes and stuff like that,
Mhm.
where every girl's obsessed with all the boys and
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah. So is it, the actual, like, story parts, is it more like visual novel type of stuff, or are there more, like, cutscenes and stuff like that?
No, it's mainly visual novel because the way it looks is, as I say, it's like watercolor painting, right? And
Mhm.
for the most part, you walk up to a character and you press X and they talk. And
Yeah.
occasionally they'll be like, "Oh, you need to use an item to talk to this person." But it tells you
Mhm.
when you need to use an item. It's not like a huge like point and click adventure where you got to give like
Sure.
a key to this person,
Yeah.
like, and you got to go through all your items.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The way you're talking about it seems really intriguing. Like I said, I was not expecting this at all for this type of game. So I might have to add this to the list to try out. So, I mean, how much is it on the Switch?
I think I don't know on the Switch. I know for the PS4, like last Christmas, my wife picked it up for me for like $20.
Okay. So
Because
some version of it isn't bad. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, I know the Switch. Like, if you have like a Switch OLED, I'd say play it on that.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'm like, get it on your big screen TV. I know it's not gonna. When you look at screenshots, it's not gonna look like anything special
Sure.
necessarily. But when you see it in motion, it is just so nice. It's so
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful.
Well, that's the thing too, like when it comes to graphics and games, like if it doesn't have to be the highest resolution, if it's just a unique art
Hmm.
style,
Hmm.
then that's really cool. Like that's why to this day I still love like the Jet Set Radio games because it's a
Yeah.
unique style that lasts, and it seems like this is to some extent not cell shaded, but like a different art style that's just really cool.
Well, if someone said to me like, "What are the best looking games ever?" I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say like The Last of Us or
Right,
Gears of
sure.
War. I'm gonna be like Nino Cooney, like
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 11. This I
Hmm.
would now say,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, oh, actually, another game that I unfortunately have never finished, but maybe sounds to an extent similar, is the Okami game. That was
yeah,
very
yeah,
like
yeah,
artfully done and all that. But like I played it a little bit, the Switch version, like not remake, remaster, whatever. And it was like that was a beautiful game, but it's technically a game from like PS2 era.
yeah. No, this
So
this is gorgeous. I'm loving it. For all I know, it could shit the bed at the end, like the story. But honestly, just how well it's told and how engaging it is, I just love that. It's got that sort of Twin Peaks Lost vibe where you're
oh,
just always thinking like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
hmm, hmm,
Yeah,
nice. So sounds like a thumbs up for you.
thumbs up.
Definitely. All right, I'll have to add this to the list. Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of games I've already started or I'm about to start, but I'll have to add that to the list then. That sounds like a really good one. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Right, over to you.
All right, speaking of Japan, I'm going to talk about the show Tokyo Vice that came out on HBO, I think a couple months ago. So, really quick, as far as the background of it, I actually, if I rewind the clock, maybe at least 5, 6 years, maybe even longer, I saw the Tokyo Vice book that this show is based off of, like on a bookshelf one day, and I never read it, but I remember seeing it even back however many years ago it was, going like, oh, this seems like a neat concept. Like, I'm sure this will get turned into a show at some point, and yeah, not surprised that it finally did. But the basic premise of it is, and once again, this is a true story, or at least from what this person says. I don't know. I've maybe seen an article a couple times now saying certain things may not be as true as he said it was, but at this point, who knows? But the premise of the show is there's this dude from the Midwest of America who goes to Japan because he wants to be a reporter for like the most popular Japanese newspaper. And this is based, sorry, in the late mid to late '90s, roughly in Tokyo. And so the most popular newspaper, and I think it's still even to this day in reality, it's like I don't know, Japan Times or something. I don't know what it is, something like that. And he wants to be a reporter, but then he's having difficulty getting in because up to that point, no foreigner had ever been admitted to work there. It's always, it's exclusively Japanese. But he was practicing Japanese and all this sort of stuff to get in. But then eventually he finally gets in, but then he very quickly gets sucked into the bit of the underworld of Tokyo with like the yakuza and like detectives and all this sort of stuff. So like at a surface level, this seems like a really cool premise. And I think it still is a cool premise. And maybe one day I may go back and read the book because it seems like there's a lot of really neat stories, some of which made it into the show.
Mhm,
The actual show, I could not make it past episode 3. So if I'm not mistaken, I think there's maybe 8 or 9 episodes, and they're roughly hour each or whatever. And like I said, it's an HBO show. So like and this is the thing that sucks. The production value is awesome. I believe a good chunk of it shot on location in Tokyo. Obviously present day, but they made it look like mid to late '90s. So like the aesthetic is really cool. They have some great actors like Ken Watanabe's in it as
mhm,
well. Everyone, all the actors, generally speaking, do a pretty good, if not really good job,
mhm,
except the main guy. So like okay, the premise once again is this dude who's kind of like a fish out of water. Like he's a kind of a tall, lanky white dude, like most generic Midwest American white dude you could think of, like smack dab in the middle of Tokyo, trying to be a Japanese like worker, basically. And
No, I
so,
think of you for that.
yeah, thank you. I'm the next generation of that. I already did that about back in 2010 when I went to Okinawa, but that's a different story. But like the thing is, he is just so plain and boring and generic that like I just couldn't keep watching him. And granted, it's a balance because on one hand, I think that's part of his character, and I think this guy probably was that. But like actually seeing it was just so boring that like I anytime, which was a lot of the time that he's on screen because he's the main guy, I'm like I kind of I'm kind of just like staring at him. Like I don't. It seems like things are happening, and I'm more interested in everything around him except that guy.
Mm,
And it sucks because like I think there's a cool story, and I'm sure if I keep watching it, which I might at some point, it probably makes it a little bit different where he's starting to get more ingrained. But like my God, it was just so boring that I'm like, this is kind of dumb. I just couldn't make it past episode 3. So then the other part though that I will say is a little bit more, I don't know if I want to say an issue per se, but like there's this constant trope, not even trope because this is a real thing that happens in Japan of them being kind of xenophobic is kind of like the
mhm.
thing that happens where if you're a foreigner, you kind of don't really fit in. And even if you've been there for 20 years, you're still always kind of looked at as that foreigner, or there's like the term
Yeah.
gaijin that people use like and like Japanese people use about foreigner. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen because even once again when I was there, like I heard it a couple times and I whatever, I don't really give a shit. But like that is a thing that happens for sure. But
Mhm.
in this show, they make it so apparent that he is a foreigner or he's different or he's like a white gaijin foreigner and he's kind of never going to be accepted. And then on top of that, there's the a lot of misogyny from like Japanese coworkers to the women, which once again, I know that happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen and we shouldn't even see it or anything, but it's like they cannot help but bring it up constantly. And
Yeah.
it's like at that point, you're trying it's not really in service of the story anymore. You're just like I don't know, you're trying to get like sympathy points or something, but it just makes it like just annoying at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like sometimes subtlety gets the point across a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Grant,
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen the show. I don't know how it happens, but I remember us talking about how like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air episode where like Colton get pulled over
Yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
he doesn't realize it's because he's black, but
Right,
you
right.
know, and I don't think they ever mention it in the episode. They don't outright say it. It's
Right.
just everyone around him's like, "Keep your hands on the steering wheel." Just
Like you
like
get
not
it.
a lot, like not a lot, and like even his dad at the end is like, "I got pulled over once, and I thought it was because I was doing too slow." And like they never go, "Oh, like you got pulled over because you are black," or
Right.
"He doesn't like you because of this." It's just there's the subtlety there. Everyone understands it, and it gets the point across a lot better than like a lot of modern shows. I feel like where it's just like this man is racist.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. They just treat the audience like they're idiots, basically,
Yeah.
and to exactly to your point, it seems like, and I've some to your point, yeah, I've seen it even in some other shows that I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that's very much more common these days. But yeah, in this show, dude, I'm like each of the 3 episodes, it was at least 4 or 5 times, like blatant mention of
Hmm.
that fact that he's a foreigner or that there's a woman doing something when it should be a man. They randomly like to start talking about him being Jewish as well. And I'm like, that is nothing, absolutely nothing to do with anything that was mentioned in this episode or the story thus far. And I'm like what is even happening anymore? So that's why it really sucks because I think and once again, I don't know if the book is like this. I'm hoping it's not, and it is more direct for the things he was doing and seeing as opposed to like this aspect. And if so, then I'm much more like I said, I think the story is cool. And that's why I may go back to the book to read it at some point. But this show, like maybe I'll give it another episode here in the future if I'm like bored with anything else that I can't watch. But like after 3 episodes, I'm like, I'm done. So it really sucks. And apparently, I think you even told me they already renewed it for like a second season. Did I hear
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think I sent that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that by the end of the first season, it's only maybe partway through the book, or maybe it is they've finished it and they're going to do more stuff that wasn't in the book. I can't remember. I don't know if it was
I mean,
if any
it's
percent.
probably not a one-for-one translation from the book
Mhm,
because you see a list with a lot of shows and stuff. Like,
mhm,
I remember there was some Stephen King book that they turned into like a four-season show, and
mhm.
the book's like that thick.
Yeah, yeah, they're really stretching it out a little bit.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, definitely, as with anything we talk about, please watch it for yourself to make your own opinion. Don't obviously take us as absolute fact here, but like,
take me as absolute fact.
okay,
Those
sorry.
13 Sentinels we just were.
Fair enough. I'll speak for myself on this one,
Yeah,
but yeah, for at least for right now, I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. I don't I don't think it's that great. It sucks because it had a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of things about it that are good, but like there's too much negative for me to give a shit about
yeah,
continuing it. So I wouldn't recommend it honestly, unless you're really bored and you love Japan so much that you just want to see it, regardless of what the story is. Maybe just put it on mute to like look at the show. I don't know at that point. But, so thumbs down for me at this point.
okay.
All right. So last one, South Park Streaming Wars.
So we both watched
So
this, yeah.
yeah, we both watched this one. So, as really quick, just to get people up to speed here, South Park has been interesting, and let me know if maybe I misstate something or if you've read something differently. But basically, at least for the last couple years, I don't know if it's Comedy Central or Paramount or whoever is giving them money. They're just throwing money at
Mhm,
Matt and Trey, the creators of South Park, regardless of like quality anymore, because
mhm.
they're just I don't know what it is, but they're just throwing money at them, and they've signed up for what like 19 specials or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, so I guess, and this is the thing. It's been probably maybe a year or two since they've done like a proper season, but they're just now coming
No,
out
no,
with these
no,
specials,
they
or
just
no?
did it. They just did a season, beginning of this year.
Oh, but it was like, wasn't it a shorter one
Yeah,
though,
it was like
or
6
no?
episodes. Yeah,
Okay, that's why I'm
yeah.
forgetting. Okay, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So yeah, they did kind of a shorter one, but it seems like at least since COVID started, they've been cranking out these more like 30 to 45 minute or maybe even
Mhm.
hour long in some case specials that are excuse me, centered around basically just like one topic. I mean, that's what any episode is, of course, but it's just like an extended episode
Yeah.
almost. So, but it sounds like at least for the foreseeable future, they're just going to keep cranking out more of these specials, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're signed up for more seasons, but Matt and Trey have always had that weird sort of you can do it whenever you want, Larry David type deal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not short on money by any means, so they'll be set for a while.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this is their latest special, and they did, like I said, a couple of COVID ones, and then like a post-COVID, basically, kind of trying to get things to
Mm.
be normal again. Which I got to be honest, I'm glad they've at least, I think, for the most part, moved past the COVID stuff because like even that was like already getting old, and they've now moved on to like at least a different topic. But to your point, I mean, if you want to take it from here, there's one particular area that they keep coming back to over and over and over again that is getting a little old
Integrity
as well.
fucking farms.
Yeah. So if you want to
I
explain,
well, I looked and they've been doing it for like over 5 years now.
yeah.
And the joke was okay for an episode or two,
Hmm.
but it's not funny anymore. It wasn't even the funniest thing South Park have ever done. I could understand if they were banging on about it because it was so funny and everyone loved it.
Right.
But every other show, like, I don't know about you, but I love old school Simpsons.
I've never really grew up on Simpsons, but I watched it here and there, and I mean, it was funny when I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, or like Family Guy or things like that. And you
Yeah.
can see where like the creators started walking away.
Yeah. Right.
But the thing with South Park is they never did.
Exactly.
And it's just sad to see them not care anymore. And they kind of admit it in this episode.
Yeah. This episode, if anything, is them basically saying that.
Yeah, they're like, we don't give a fuck. They give us lots of money.
Yeah, pretty much. And like at this point, I mean, there's a whole
That's not
discussion you could
funny.
have about like ethics and when you should stop and all that sort of stuff, but they literally will not stop throwing money at them, like $500 million or something stupid. So,
I mean, I can't blame them. If someone offered me like $500 million to dance naked on TV, I'd probably do it. But
yeah. Or yeah, just to make cartoons. I mean, shit.
yeah. But the thing with Matt and Trey is they've always sort of kept a high quality.
Yeah.
They've always made fun of things, but had it ultimately be funny. They've even poked fun at themselves in the past, but it's still always been funny.
Right.
I don't feel like it really is that much anymore, and it's kind of sad. I could understand a bit more if they weren't really involved in the show and just did the voices, maybe,
Hmm.
and they were like focusing on other projects.
Yeah, I feel like this would be an interesting one of those situations where if they maybe were only helping to produce it and like were, to your point, maybe generally involved, but they got some new blood into it to try and reinvigorate it. Because yeah, it's clear they're just like, yeah, they don't care, or they're just kind of hobbling along of like, here's some more content for you, as we've talked about it the last couple times. Like, here's just more for the sake of more,
Well, they do that in the
and
show. They talk about like it's not even the joke of this one is it's not about the quality; it's about the quantity now.
yeah, yeah. So I guess to quickly just talk about what this actual special is. Yeah, as the name implies, streaming wars. It's about streaming, but like I will say, I'll give them a little credit here. Like it's kind of like the one thing with South Park is they always try to do an analogy
Hmm.
without like maybe necessarily always talking about what the actual issue is. They'll kind of put a veil over it to,
Man, bear,
not
pig.
be as direct. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So with this one, it's literally about water streams and how everyone is trying to get a piece of water streaming because there's essentially a drought and all these people are trying to buy it up. And but yeah, it's clearly an analog to like content streaming and just yeah, the quantity over quality and that whole discussion. So like, I mean, I'll give them points for at least that part, but yeah, as far as the general jokes and them still bringing back the Integrity Farms weed jokes and all that, and it's like, all right, like it's not funny anymore.
Well, I remember an episode like 5 years ago where Cartman like calls up Netflix
Hmm.
and they just answer the phone and go, your series is commissioned. What is it?" Like
Yeah,
that's how they answer the phone at Netflix, right? And
yeah.
that is funnier. That little
Hmm.
like 5-second joke is funnier than anything in this entire special, and that gets the point across so much better.
Exactly, exactly. So I don't know. It seems like with the direction they're going, if it's gonna, even if they do seasons that'll tackle things like they used to with these
Mhm.
specials, I don't. It seems like it's gonna be about some big topic. I guess maybe moving forward. I don't know. I don't know why it would be any different than like the normal seasons. I suppose. So
Yeah,
I guess I'm curious what other topics they'll do. But like eh, I don't know. I mean, I'll put it this way: like I have Paramount Plus because of Star Trek, like I've mentioned. So as long as I have that, and if they come out with another one, yeah, I'll probably watch it. But like once I get rid of that in between the breaks for Star Trek, if they keep coming out with more specials on Paramount Plus, I'm not going to resubscribe just to watch more these South Park
yeah.
specials.
I used to love like watching South Park, and it was one of those things. It was kind of like South Park slowly over the years sort of turned into Saturday Night Live, where you had to watch it there and then, otherwise the jokes were old.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
Um, so I always was like, right, like every week it was on, I was like, right, gotta watch South Park right away. But even
Hmm.
with this, I put it on and I was like brushing my teeth while it was on,
Yeah.
like just like had it on in the background because I was like, this isn't that funny.
Yeah.
It's really quite boring as well, and it's really long and doesn't need to be. They got the joke over and done with in the first 10 minutes of the episode, and they're just dragging it on.
Yeah, well, and even I guess rewinding back a little bit with their other most recent, like the COVID specials. I mean, would it be fair to say kind of the same thing where it's like, it's kind of just on. Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to remember if they were. I mean, maybe they were okay too at
even that,
first,
they
but
kept telling the same jokes over and over and over again.
yeah,
Like, oh,
exactly.
it's the future, and it was like they weren't even the. Here's the thing: as well, they still land like a great joke all the time,
Hmm.
but it's like the joke that's like 2 or 3 out of 10 is the
Yeah.
one they keep repeating
Hmm.
and thinks funny.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like they've run out of ideas at this point. I mean, shit, it's been going on for what, like 25 years at this rate, or close to 20, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sad to see because they were always the two people that just didn't seem to give a fuck and couldn't be corrupted by Hollywood.
Well, to be fair, I would say they probably still haven't,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but they're still just they're getting money and they're like, "Look, we're gonna keep doing whatever." And I mean, like I said, I to some extent, I can't really blame them.
No,
I
no.
mean, I don't think they're necessarily sacrificing anything that they believed in, but once again, if you've been doing something so long for 20 plus years, you're gonna run out of ideas.
Yeah, no, what I mean by that, though, is just you knew anything that they did was gonna have a certain sort of quality about it.
Sure, sure.
Like, when I booked tickets to go see the Book of Mormon because, like, Matt and Trey made it, and I loved
Yeah,
Team America, and I loved South
right.
Park, and I was like, "You know, going in, they're gonna have their fingerprint on this, it's gonna be by them, it's gonna be great, they wouldn't put it out if they didn't like it."
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm just like it just seems like they're like, "Ah, can put it out."
Well, and that's the thing too. I so I haven't seen Book of Mormon. I would love to next time it maybe comes around my area. But like that's where I'm saying if they could just produce this with other people helping and then they go on to some other project, I would love to see what they can do next because I think
Mhm,
they're have a funny sense of humor still and they could absolutely try something different and I think be super successful. So it's almost like they kind of need to step away from their baby a little bit
mhm.
and try something else or have new blood. And it's the same thing I've said about some other shows like with X-Files where after some point the creator would not let go and it turned to shit. And
Yeah.
even with the revival it was like, this wasn't that great. So I feel like this is suffering from that same thing where they just need to step away from it and have someone else have the reins, honestly.
Yeah, but then it's not South Park, is it, at that point? It's South Park in all but name because it is South Park is their humor.
I guess it is tied to them. You could tell they very much have that sense of humor. I don't know. I guess I would say I would rather them take the risk and try something new than continue just mediocrity moving forward. I mean, that's just me, I guess.
I will say, though, the idea of Cartman begging his mum to get breast implants is hilarious.
Yes, that was
That
one of the
that
jokes.
that was funny.
Hmm.
And then when
Yeah.
like, that would have been a funnier episode than the whole Tegrity Farms and even the guy from the water park called Pee Pee. Who turned up. Like, that was a joke from an episode, like, 10 years ago, and they kept just
uh,
repeating, "We get it, his name's PP, he runs a water park, people pee in pool." Like
yeah.
why are you repeating this same joke again?
Yeah, so I'm almost, now that I think about it, I'm wondering if the special format just doesn't suit South Park well, and they need
No.
to just stick to seasons, which are shorter episodes. You don't have to explain things and drag out the time, and maybe it's just an artifact to an extent. It's not all because of that, but I'm wondering if these specials are just sort of putting them into a weird position where they have to make more content where they don't typically have to, I guess.
Well, everyone said that about Arrested Development. Like, when Arrested Development was on TV, it had to be 22 minutes,
Yeah,
and then when it went to Netflix, everyone was like, "Oh, the episode's like 34 minutes," and, like, they
yeah,
don't feel as tight. They don't
right.
like so
Well,
obviously when they're writing the scripts, they're not going, "Right, what we gotta cut out the less funny jokes. Right, cut that, cut that, cut that, get it down to 22 minutes, and what you're left with is, like, the funniest stuff."
yeah, exactly. And I mean, as we were talking before we started recording, there's the whole discussion of media, just like movies in particular, getting way too long. 2.5, 3 hour epics for stuff that absolutely does not need it. And there is something to be said about editing and telling a tight, concise story. Like, okay, just a really quick aside, because Paramount Plus they released a couple months ago for the first time a 4K director's cut of the first Star Trek movie.
Mhm.
So, for anyone who's not watched Star Trek movies in particular, not just the shows, but the movies, there's some really good ones. There's also some stinkers in there as well. The first Star Trek movie is generally good. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. I did not need a director's cut of this movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool that there's one exists now, especially so many years after, just to see like extra footage, but, like, I watched it, and there is something to be said for editing, which I'm glad they did for the theatrical release, but, yeah, this extra stupidly long content or, like, I think we were also talking, like, Stranger Things, like, hour and a half long episodes, like, it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I just saw, like, yesterday or the day before, they just announced they're doing, like, a extended version of Spider-Man, the last one, in the
Mm,
theaters,
really?
and yeah, 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 it's called the More Fun Edition.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm just like, I felt like that was a movie that was the length it needed to be.
Yeah, like, if they're gonna have more, like, bloopers and outtakes and that sort of stuff, I'm always down to see that, but, like, an actual extended version of the movie, like, yeah, it was already fairly long.
Yeah,
So, anyways, I mean, I think it's, at least for me, pretty obvious. This one is a thumbs down. I don't
yeah,
think it's worth
thumbs down for me
checking
as well.
out. So, I mean,
Yeah,
so out of curiosity, I guess, as far as wrapping up South Park, as more come out, assuming you have the streaming service that it's on, do you think you'll at least still give it a watch?
I think you're talking to a guy who hung on to The Simpsons and Family Guy a lot longer than we did. Um,
Fair.
I don't know. I always take too long to jump off shows.
Mhm.
I like The Walking Dead. I feel like everyone jumped off like 2 seasons before I did.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of I'm like an abusive relationship. I just hang on, hoping it can change.
Just pray, "Come on, come on."
Yeah, just like, oh come on, like you used to treat me good.
Well, it's tough, especially with a show like South Park. Like, I've been watching it essentially since it started. Like,
Yeah,
I remember when South Park premiered, and I was, what, like 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that. And even then, I'm like, what is this? Like, why? Like, how is this allowed on TV? And you grow up with something like this, and you just see it like not be as good. Like, to your point, you want to see it get better. You hope it will, but then it's just like,
well,
come
I
on.
used to say South Park was the smartest show on TV, which was
I
a
don't,
lot of people looked at it from the outside and were like, really, it's all just poop jokes and stuff like that, right?
right,
And it
right.
was like, yeah, but the meta commentary, they will make fun
Yeah.
of both sides. They will get to the point. They will show you how ridiculous something is. But I feel like now it's not got that smart edge to it, and it is just the poop jokes.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly.
Yeah.
So, once again, I don't know if that's just because Matt and Trey have sort of just got bored, or if it's, I mean, if you think in the landscape of all the shows that are out now, there's so many shows that either directly or maybe subtly, a little bit of both, do commentary on society now, and it's like they're not the only game in town anymore, I guess. And so, I'm wondering if, like,
They
the
really had a
competition
game
to an
in
extent.
town that pointed out how stupid it was, though. Because most shows will be like, this is wrong.
That's
Like,
fair.
I don't want to sound like one of these people on fucking YouTube, but it's like, for the most part, media tells you how to think. They're
Sure,
trying to
sure.
get their point of view across and trying to get you
Mhm.
to agree with them. This is bad. This shouldn't be happening in society, etc., etc. Whereas South Park used to take a situation and be like, there's idiots on both sides, like,
Yeah.
of this argument, and it's not even just a politics left or right thing. It can be something as
Oh, sure.
stupid as fanboyism or whatever. Like
But
they
just
make like
any
Game of
argument, it would,
Thrones,
yeah.
Apple, they would, and they
Mhm.
would just be like, "This is stupid. Can you believe people get upset or worked up about this stuff?"
Yeah.
And everyone would
Yeah.
like you'd watch it and you'd laugh and be like, "Yeah," even if you agree with one side or the other.
Mhm.
But they don't even do that anymore. It's just like poo poo pee pee.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, for me, what, like I said, if I have the service that it's on and they come out with something new, like, yeah, I'll probably keep up with it. Just why not if I'm looking for something to watch? But I'm definitely past the point of being excited for new South Park
yeah.
at this point. Unless they change or do something different, it's more like, yeah, I'll keep up with it, but I'm not like
I'll put it
super
on
gung ho
while
about
I
it.
like empty the dishwasher.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, it's sad to kind of like acknowledge that with a show
Yeah,
you love so much that it's essentially dead. But like, that, like, once again, this is the crazy thing though, is that yes, it's. I think a lot of people probably, I would think, have somewhat of a similar opinion, or at the very least, it's maybe not as good as it used to be. But like I said, they're getting millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, so clearly they're doing something right, and that's where I'm saying I can't really blame them.
mhm.
But it's. I'm just wondering, like, why. I guess at this point it's just a recognizable brand, right? And so execs are like, throw more money at this that everyone clearly is going to love, but like the amount of money is just staggering for this.
Here's the
It's
thing,
all.
though, is like I feel like someone like Fox goes to The Simpsons and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you another $40 million,"
Mhm.
and they just say, "Yeah, give it to me."
Sure,
I can imagine
clearly.
them going to Matt Stone and Trey Parker and being like, "We'll give you another $40 million," and they're like, "We don't want to fucking do this anymore." And they're like, "What will
Yeah.
it take to make you do it?" And they just like, as a joke, are like $500 million. and they
There,
actually
we're
go away and come back and go, "We can do that." Like, and they're
there.
like,
Yeah, we'll
uh,
shuffle some things around.
yeah, they're like, "Fuck!" Like, I can imagine they're like, "If you want us to do this shit, you've got to fucking pay us." Like,
That yeah, I'm curious if at what like once again, as we said in this particular special, they sort of touch upon that almost commentary about themselves a little bit. I would love for them just if they really want to go out on a bang, just release something that is just full blast, like them saying, like, "Look, I'm gonna give you the most shit dumb crap I could ever give you," and basically almost trying to get fired at this point without
yeah,
actually getting fired. I think that would be hilarious if they did something like that.
yeah, yeah.
So
It shouldn't be hard in today's climate.
well, that too. That's true.
Yeah,
So, anyways, at least for this particular special and maybe the last couple, maybe as a general bucket, kind of a thumbs down for the most
yeah,
part, I would say. If you have it, like this Paramount Plus or HBO or whatever, I mean, check it out, I guess. But yeah, other than that, not super worth it, unfortunately. So yeah, got a couple of thumbs down. Started out with a bang with 13 Sentinels, and then it just
yeah,
went downhill from there. So yeah, we've been too positive on the show lately. We really had to bring
yeah,
it down a couple
yeah.
notches. But yeah, so that'll
Next
probably
issue, we're gonna next episode, we're gonna like review Hitler.
we're gonna do our top 10 dictators
Yeah,
from last 100
a
years,
lot
and
of
we're gonna
thumbs
go.
downs.
We can get yeah, we're gonna get really detailed with
Yeah,
that one. Um, but yeah, so at least for today, I think that'll wrap it up. Thanks everyone for tuning in as always. So make sure to follow us, Tojo Dojo on Twitter, and then on Twitch and Instagram and Facebook and all those places, and YouTube, of course. And like, comment, subscribe. Let us know. Let us know if you found there was too much xenophobia in Tokyo Vice, and what were your favorite terrible things that they said about the
yeah.
main character. But until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.